Hey there. I wanted to get on live today because I haven't done a lot of these recently and talk a little bit about a very personal situation and something that I don't typically talk about in public because I guess it's just become a part of my natural day to day and I felt like I had it managed. So I wanted to get on and talk a little bit about my experiences with being empathic, which I don't, like I said, I don't really talk about it because we've sort of made it a catchphrase and stuff. But anyway, I'm gonna tell you about something that just totally blew me away recently. But anyhow, I'll just give you a little background, right? When I was a child, I was so openly empathic that I understand now that and I had so much anger around me that I shut down and I felt like this big marshmallow and I would cry and be upset and uneasy so much. So as a natural defense mechanism, I learned how to manage it at an early age. And I didn't even realize what that was. I didn't realize what I was doing, except it was like self-preservation, right? And so in those situations, you either become a marshmallow big glob of goo or you put a steel trap around you, which is what I did. Steel trap energetically, emotionally. And yet I started to utilize that and could understand what was going on around me. And so I actually functionally learned how to do that at an early age. And I was very successful in corporate because I knew how to read people. And I didn't realize that's what I was doing, that I could feel the room. I could feel when one person in 10 in a room of 10 was upset or angry or lying because of their feeling. Anyway, so I managed it. I was this steel trap. And then fast forward to, 2009 when I had what I call my grand awakening. And it was almost like my expanded self said, no more of this, and stripped it all away again. And all of a sudden I was just bare naked and everything just felt like it was, coming in on me. So the first thing I did was learn how to manage it. And my guidance was no, don't shut it down again. It's not going to work either. Don't shut it down, but learn how to manage it, learn how to live with it and stay connected and yet still be able to observe where it was. So there it is. I became a master at that. And then I started teaching others how to do that, how to connect intuitively, how to allow that and to not be lost in it, which is where a lot of us end up becoming like victims, like because we feel like I can't function, very introverted. A lot of people who know themselves to be empaths like sort of shut themselves down and become introverted. And I've never been introverted. Well, I was when I was a child until I shut it down. Anyway, so here I am going, okay, 12 years I've been teaching others to manage it, teaching others how to manage it, how to be functional, how to like, and so feel pretty masterful, pretty good about that. Feel like I got it licked. And a couple of days ago, right? Bam, huge thing happened with one of my adult daughters that was devastating and just emotionally devastating to her. And naturally, as her mother, right, I immediately opened up and wanted to embrace her, right? And take it away because that's what we do. And I was completely shut down for several hours. All because it was all her stuff. And I had been fine. I had been, rolling along. Things were going great. And this really shut me down. I'm like, wow, I haven't had this happen for so long. So I let it happen. I let myself sit with it. And in a couple of hours, I then said, okay, let me look at this. And so I, I learned, I started to manage it because I was conscious of it. Now, the reason I'm talking about this is because I know that collectively we've gone through a shift. We've gone through shifting over the past 12 years, especially physically. We're in the photon belt in our galaxy, so that's actually making us less dense, more connected in the quantum physics field kind of thing. But many have these empathic experiences, and they don't realize that's what it is because they just become overwhelmed. Overwhelmed. stressed out, want to just shut themselves in a closet and then look at what's going on in the world. Like the chaos is ramping up. And so I wanted to talk about this because I wanted to let you know that no matter how masterful we are, it still can blindside us. It's still part of our, physical human experience, right? And learning how to, remembering how to master that. So many don't even realize that that's what they have, right? Like being empathic has sort of become a catchphrase in the consciousness world. Many don't even know what that means, or they hear it one place and they don't really fully mean. And we're all, let me just sort of, my understanding is we're all that way because we're all part of the wholeness. And in part of the wholeness, quantum physics wise, the field, however you want to look at it, in connection, we can feel, when we allow connection, we can feel what other people are feeling. We can identify that. But then often what happens is we're not used to doing that. So then we allow it. So many have gone through a partial awakening, so to speak, and they really haven't even realized that that's what's going on, except they feel more overwhelmed. And they feel like they shut down and they don't want to deal and they want to just close themselves off. And as we're moving forward and all this stuff is coming to the surface and change, that's what it's really making a lot of people very agitated, which makes it sort of worse, sort of a self-feeding thing. So going back to my personal experience of, okay, so here I am. Yep, I got this mastered, and my daughter has a thing that totally stressed her out, and then I got stressed out, and it shut me down and overrode everything in my entire physical system. I felt it in my heart, I felt it in my solar plexus, and blah, blah, blah. And then I was like, whoa, whoa. Okay, I let it happen for a couple hours, and I go, okay, let me see what this is about. And I basically was like, okay, so what's mine and what's not mine? So here's how I dealt with it. So these are the things, and I'm telling you how I dealt with this because it might help you to manage this and start to be more conscious of what's going on. So the first thing is observing it and saying, is it really mine? Are these energies and emotions really mine? When I thought about it, I was like, well, what do I have to be all this stressed about, right? In my particular situation and my reality right now, right? All of it was her. Then when I looked at that, I said, okay, so then why am I allowing this? Like, why am I allowing this to take me over when I know how to manage it? I know how to work with it so that it does not overwhelm me. And then I sort of externalize it to say, well, yeah, like, why? Why would I do that? So first of all, okay, it's my daughter. We are like we're inbred to say, like our children, our spouses, the people closest to us are those who that we take on their stuff, right? So when I said, okay, I see what's going on around her, but if it's in my reality, right, then there's a reason for it in my reality. And especially if I, at any level, allowed it to overwhelm me and get me upset, it was to show me something that I wasn't looking at within myself. So there's somebody who I know who said, like, one of the biggest things says, she says, having is evidence of wanting. And I say that all the time in my podcast, Solving Me with Sarah C. Gavagnoni. We say that all the time. Having is evidence of wanting. If it's in my reality, I've created it. And so I was like, okay, so this happened. And of course, it's my daughter's experience. And it's okay. What is it showing me, right? First of all, is it something for me to take on? No. Is it something for me to help with? Yes, but not in the way that we want to think that we need to help with it. So then it was, well, if this has gotten to me so badly, what am I still holding on to? Is it harboring, like, I value myself on being able to help my child? I value myself in blah, blah, blah. And then it was like, oh, wait, no. The energy of what was going on with her had to do with something that I had been working through consciously, that it was showing me that I still held in myself. And that's why it pinged me so deeply, because I was like, oh my God, that's the worst thing. That's one of the worst things that could happen. And I'm like, well, no, that's my judgment of one of the worst things that could happen, because I still had the energy of, oh my God, if that happened to me, I would be devastated, right? And then I was like, okay, well, that was funny because then when I saw it that way, I was able to say, okay, so now let me look at the stuff I've been working on for myself and shift that. And I did. And well, and look at what actually, before I shifted that, what else is there for me to see in that? And then it was for me to, well, first, and then disassociate with, not disassociate in the way that I wasn't helping my child, but the best way for me to help my child is if she was holding that and agreed at some level to experience that, right? Because she needed it in her experience, and then I needed to see it. It was to release her from that onus, that and to come to a place of gratitude for it existing to show me what it needed to show me, and then to shift it. Then it was to shift it. Typically, when we get to that place of gratitude for having an experience, it will usually shift itself. And then my next step is shifting it so that I don't need to have that experience. I don't need to have my loved ones around me have that experience for me to see this. Like I can let go of that need because I'm committing myself to shifting that and letting go of it once and for all. So that's a way for us to use our intrinsic connection. It's overwhelming. It can be overwhelming. And so many don't realize that when they get overwhelmed by something that's going on with their children, even when they're adults, something's going on with their spouse, something's going on with like loved ones in their family or their best friend or whatever, that it makes them just get on edge or whatever, then it's something for them to look at within themselves. Number one is learning how to manage that whole, like, am I taking it on for them? Because at some level, when we take things on for people, it's how we value ourselves. Like, oh, I'm going to take this on for them so you don't have to feel it yourself. But when we get into that place of consciousness, it's, well, then we're preventing them from fulfilling their journey as well. All I can do is hold the space. And that's the thing, is when I started to shift that, when I shifted that and started to hold that space of love, unconditional love for my daughter to resolve that situation, without taking on that stress for her empathically, I let her work through it. And it was amazing. Within hours, she was calmer. She was more clear. She was like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. And everything changed. So I felt like that was important for me to share with you today, because a lot of us are going through this. And like I said, I believe a lot of people do not realize that that's what's going on when they feel overwhelmed or really upset or shut down by something that's going on around them. And it doesn't make us more human or more important by doing that, but it's really important for us to see what it's trying to say to us when we pull it out of ourselves, right? And then look at it in the mirror versus in just absorbing it and then letting it affect us negatively even more. So that's just a little tidbit for today and a little bit of sharing. So like and share, come and follow my group, come join my Facebook group, the Up Leveling Community. I'll put the link in here, and I hope to see you. Thanks. Bye.